Hey guys, welcome back to Judy Tuesdays here on CU at USC. So here's a little fun fact. Our production crew in the studio tonight is actually over 80% female. And tonight's guest is all about girl power as well. She's the founder of the female-driven Netflix, Blue Fever, which intends to reach over 850 million streamers worldwide. We're sitting down with award-winning producer and entrepreneur, Greta McAnany. Welcome back to CU at USC. We're sitting down with award-winning producer and entrepreneur, Greta McAnany. Thank you so much for coming, Greta.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
And welcome back to USC. So Greta is actually a USC alum, graduated class of 2010, and you fight on. And you, I share some similarities with you, were an Annenberg broadcast journalism major, and you were a double major in theater and cinema as well.
Yeah, I like to say that my parents paid for a degree in pretend from USC, which is my degree in theater.
And something that's actually even more interesting, Greta was actually a host of CU herself.
I was.
So did you do it in 2006?
I think I did it in 2007.
2007. Yep. Well, welcome back. We're so excited to have you.
Mm-hmm.
So you studied film, and then after graduating, you actually went on to write for Sundance. So tell us about that experience, because that actually led to some of the stuff that you're doing right now.
Yeah, so I'll kind of give you a little short biography. So graduated from USC, and like most people coming out of college, I thought I knew what I wanted to do, and it's very different than from what I'm doing today. I was doing musical theater professionally, and I was in a couple productions, and then once I realized that I didn't have the control that I wanted, when you audition for stuff, people choose you, right? And they say, okay, you can be involved, you can't. And I said, I want a bit more control. So one of my friends from USC said, hey, I think I'm gonna make a movie. Like, you've made a movie through the documentary school class at Annenberg. And he's like, you've made a movie before. And he's like, you should come join us. And I was like, and he's like, we need a girl. And so I joined this team of all Trojan men and myself, and we made a feature film. And that was a feature film that was distributed on Netflix, Amazon, Vudu, Vimeo. Like, it was written up by the Washington Post, screened internationally. It did really, really well. And after that experience, I, again, had never intended to be in film, but I always knew I was a storyteller. And so I said, okay, I want to make another film. I want to do something more. But what I realized is that the independent film landscape really wasn't set up for the independent creator to win. So what I mean by that is that my distributor made money, and a distributor is someone who basically takes your movie and brings it to a Netflix or a movie theater, et cetera. So my distributor made money, my investors made money, but I didn't make any money as the creative. And I couldn't understand, and neither did any of my teammates.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right? And I'm like, why do people do this? And I had never gone to film school, so I didn't really understand that that's very common for independent film. And you just do it, a lot of the time so you can get the credit of saying, well, I have a film on Netflix. And you get that in credit. You can say your film's won awards, et cetera. But it doesn't really mean much at the end of the day, and the financial reward's not there. And especially as a woman, I had a very, very difficult experience on that team. And I had experienced the worst of the worst sexism, pretty much. While I was working on that team, I was told I was overweight. I was told I'm like a secretary. I had one guy, I told him, I was like, I'm not really happy with what's going on, this, and this. And he's like, well, I see it. And he's like, you totally have a point, but I don't want to change it because it helps me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So as a creator, this is different than being a writer on the film.
Well, so it was a documentary film, so nobody wrote the film. So it was, we had live subjects who the story kind of we had a framework, but then we watched them live their lives and then cut the story from that. And so I wasn't a writer on the film, but I was a producer. I formed the production company,
Okay.
and creative producer. So I was basically helping drive the story. I did the casting, that kind of thing. So as much of a writer as you can be on a documentary. Yeah, exactly. And then afterwards, realized that there was a problem and saw that as a woman, I was a minority. And I didn't really realize, because I didn't go to film school, so I was like, I didn't realize how much of a minority I was, and that really Hollywood didn't want me or anybody like me. Once I looked at the stats and I saw that the stats said, like, you know, women are on screen as protagonists or lead characters 15% of the time. 15%. And probably they're all white women. And yet that small percentage in mainstream entertainment makes 20% more money.
Wow. Okay.
So it's like, why wasn't Hollywood following the money?
If women are outperforming male-driven films, then why are they?
And that's a whole nother conversation we can get into another time. But then I saw that women helmed scripts made 4 times as much money, and I saw that women were only directors. I mean, it came out about a month ago. We're only directors 4% of the time.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? And in film school, we're 50-50. So there's something happening.
Something happening after graduation.
Exactly, and that's what I was trying to solve at the point when I met Lauren.
Okay, so you met Lauren Tracy, who's also a co-founder of Blue Fever, at Sundance.
Yes, so it's a funny story. So I kind of put it out. I'm a big believer in trying to manifest what you want, right? So I typically don't manifest like a romantic partner, because that might be too hard, but like a business partner, like a creative partner. I wanted a writing partner at the time, and or like an apartment or office or something. So like you can do those things, but I was like maybe just like universe, whoever's out there, I don't know, send me a writing partner. And what I got was so much more. So I went to Sundance. It was my second year with one of my good friends. They got into the film, or a couple of people got into the film. And then there was this really chatty blonde girl next to me. And we were the last 2 people not to get into a movie. And I told her what I had been doing. She told me what she had been doing. And there was like a lot of things that really aligned. And she was like, come on, let's go have a whiskey. And she's like, let's go back to my place and have whiskey. And she's like, because like, why should we pay for a drink? And we did, and now she's my business partner.
Oh, great. And that's Lauren pictured there with the lovely bangs.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, okay, great. So now you guys started Blue Fever. So tell us a little bit more, for the viewers out there who don't know, what Blue Fever is all about.
Yeah.
So people often compare Blue Fever to Netflix, and they say it's like a female-driven Netflix, a streaming service with original content that is, you know, basically designed for women.
Yeah, exactly. So when we saw all these stats, and it was like, oh, like women are outperforming men at the box office, but people aren't funding female projects, whether they're helmed by women or starring women. And so we said, okay, like let's see if there's anybody else out there like us who has this problem as a creator. And we saw that there were so many creators. So we started curating them, basically curating these creators. And by that, I mean picking the best of the best, right? So people who have been on HBO and Netflix and won Emmys, and put them all in one place. And what we realized in a matter of months, we had a list of 500, and we had all of this content. And so Blue Fever ended up being this destination for female-driven content, or when I say content, I mean, you know, short films, series, music videos, sketches, anything that would appeal to a young woman today. And any young woman. So we're really trying to be very diverse in the content that we program for young women. And it's basically a tiered subscription platform, to get kind of geeky and technical, but just how Netflix, like you pay a monthly fee to be a part of Netflix.
Yeah.
The same with Blue Fever, except we're going to have tiers. So kind of like Hulu did, right? Where they had like the free tier, and then you have like, you could do this tier, and then the next one was like no ads.
Yeah.
We're not doing ads, but it'll be kind of that same feeling. And the first tier is only $1 a month. But if you sign up now, you get in free for the first year, which is really exciting.
I saw that online, and my jaw dropped. I was so excited, and I was like, I hope this isn't limited time only. I need to sign up right now.
It'll be around for like the next. We're not telling people when we're taking it away. I'll just say that.
Well, sign up now. Go to Blue Fever and get that free year. It's going to be amazing. So what are some of the projects that you're working on now?
Yeah, so right now we have some original projects, but our main focus is taking all of this content that is out there that young women have made, or women have made, that is female driven, and nobody's seen it because it's buried in the depths of Vimeo and YouTube. And some of it's even like Academy Award nominated or Emmy winning, and people just haven't seen it because it's not viral. And so we're taking all of this and putting it all in one place. And so our main job right now is curating it and tagging it, not only by genre but by mood. So we're really trying to create this discovery process. So it's like, I'm a young woman and I just came home and I'm going through a breakup and I'm PMS and like, I don't know. And also I just got a job promotion. Like, what could I watch? And you can search those specific moods and tags on Blue Fever. That'll be happening in the next couple months. And so you'll be like, oh yeah, like I'm going through a breakup. And it's like, okay, you're going through a breakup. Do you want to punch someone or do you want to like cry? You know what I mean? Like, are you angry or do you want to laugh, right?
Yeah.
And then we'll guide you to content that will help you fit your mood, which is really exciting. So that is what we're currently working on right now. And then we're reading the data from that first tier and we're programming original content. So I think what you're hinting at is a piece that we just sold to AMC and Sundance Now as their first original digital series. And it's called Cincinnati Ski Club, actually. It's been renamed since we spoke. But it's basically about how young millennials have relationships today. And like the short film that I executive produced and Lauren and I executive produced is really about a young couple and like what happens when you have so many choices constantly. How do you make the right choice, especially when it comes to a romantic partner? Because really with like a swipe of of your phone screen, you could date anyone, right? Like you could meet anyone. So how do you even
Tinder or the League or Bumble?
Yeah, I highly recommend Bumble. But like how do you figure
Bumble has cuter, they have cuter selections.
And they have a female founder, and women have to choose first, actually.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Women have to message first. And that's awesome. I like that feature.
I know, it's kind of fun. But so that is a piece that's basically like, how do you have a relationship and how do you kind of construct your life when you have so many choices you could make, right? How do you make the choice and not have FOMO, right? Or feel regret about that. And so that's the first piece. We're also, Lauren's actually directing a pilot that's a supernatural Western that's really cool called Soiled Doves, about 3 women in this kind of like forgotten Western town, which is really awesome. And they'll be shooting that proof of concept soon, which we're really excited about. And a couple other things kind of down the line, but really we're focused on launching this platform and getting it out into the hands of young women today.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So what mode are you guys in? You said you're in a tech.
Yeah, so we're in, so this is, I've been learning this too, in the tech world. So I'm like from the entertainment world, but live in the tech world. And there's this thing called beta, which is basically when your company's in beta, it could be like alpha, beta, and then it like launches. So when it's in beta, it just means it's like a testing period, right? So actually when Spotify was in beta, they came out and handed out little like, cards at USC on campus for students and was like, enter this code and you can enter Spotify's beta and didn't have to pay anything, which was really cool. And so for us, it's just like this early testing phase where we're getting a lot of audience feedback and trying to, make it more and more and more robust. So right now it's not the full version, but we have about 8 weeks worth of content on there right now. We launched 8 weeks ago. And there's a lot of comedy right now, but we're expanding that out to thriller and, like horror and drama and dark comedy, which is really cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Honestly, we're entering finals month. I guess you could call it finals month here at USC, and we do need some content to stream when we, are staying up late nights, studying, possibly not focusing as much as we should.
Like if you want to procrastinate or if you just kind of need that catharsis, because I think that that's what Blue Fever is about. Like we want to give young women today, young women aren't being served in the way that they need to be. There are plenty of platforms out there for men actually that are entertainment brands for men, but nobody's created an entertainment brand for women. They just have lifestyle and beauty brands. And so our whole goal is to create a space for women to come and really have any kind of emotional release that you want to have. And this isn't limited to women by any means. We're just focusing on women because that's what we know and that's our main demographic, but we actually 30% of our audience is male.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty impressive.
Yeah, so we're building out a brand that can be like, it just happens, it's like a really cool modern entertainment brand that happens to have a lot of women's faces on it.
Okay. I'm really glad that there's kind of like that diversity in the audience too, like that men are really drawn to it as well. And you know what? We're going to take a quick little break. And while we do take this break, I want to make sure that you take advantage of this opportunity to sign up for a free year on Blue Fever. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to CU, guys. So we've got a little more Blue Fever talk here with Greta McAnany. So for those who were wondering, what inspired the name Blue Fever?
Yeah, we get that a lot. So our previous company name we had to change because it just didn't fit the brand. And I think what's so important about Blue Fever is we are a brand for young women. We are a home for them, and we wanted to have a name that really felt like it encapsulated it, right? Because think about great brands like Apple, right? Like everybody uses Mac computers just because we love the brand, and we're like, I'm an Apple person versus a PC. Like, what does that even mean, right?
Right.
It's just something that
or an iPhone versus an Android.
Yeah, I'm an iPhone person, or I'm if you hear people I am a Toyota over a VW, whatever. People just pick brands and they like them for different reasons.
And now I am a Blue Fever versus a Netflix.
Yeah, well, see, what's interesting is that the average person has 3 to 4 subscriptions.
Oh, okay.
So we're not advocating, cancel your Netflix if you want to, but we actually are, going to be partnering with Netflix down the road. Okay. So we're saying Netflix is so different than us. Sure, you can get stuff there that you can't get on Blue Fever, but also vice versa. And we really feel like you can get a community. So anyways, answering your question. So blue is actually the most common color in nature, but it's the most difficult for the human eye to see. So historically, people couldn't see the color blue for centuries. The Romans actually thought the sky was white and not blue. It was the last dye made in ancient Egypt. And it's really, the color blue is not mentioned in ancient texts like the Bible or Homer's Odyssey, because what you can't see, you don't come up with a name for, a word for, because it doesn't exist in your mind.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember the internet scandal of is the dress blue or black? Is it white and gold? Do you remember that?
Yes.
So that's a more modern day example of that. And so we were like, wait a minute, we really feel like women are like the color blue. We've been around forever, but we haven't been able to be seen. Our stories haven't been told. So now we're going to be seen, and we're going to spread like a fever.
That is amazing. I would have never guessed, honestly. I thought I was coming up with a lot of different explanations in my mind, wonder why it's called Blue Fever, and I would have never guessed.
And it works too, because blue is traditionally a boy's color, right? So you think when my one girlfriend joked, she was like, yeah, you should call the company Pink Rise. And I was like, not funny.
Pink Rise.
Pink Rise. It sounds like, yeah, exactly. But that's what we feel like with this name. It's not solely female, so we feel like we can really grow with it as a brand over time.
Oh, I love the electric blue lipstick as well. If you ever need anyone to model that for you,
Yeah. Actually, we got a lot of our fans saying, hey, where can we buy that? So we've decided, that'll be probably one of our first merch items.
Ooh, what if it was a Twitter, sensation? All the fans get in their blue lipstick and hashtag Blue Fever, and we're all
I'd love that. I would be totally down with that. Let's start it today. I just need to, figure out which makeup company. Actually, Lauren and I have been testing blue lipstick, and I put one on. The one that we liked the most does not come off. It literally does not come off. And I think I spent hours trying to scrub it off, and then just had blue all over my face. And my boyfriend came home and was like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, never mind.
Entrepreneur problems.
I was working. I was working. He's like, sure, babe. Sure you were. It was very funny.
That's so funny, honestly. And then the meaning behind the name Blue Fever, women not necessarily being recognized after all these centuries. Even to this day, there's still an issue with some of the sponsors that you have and the people that are mentoring you in this company that haven't been able to get some of their projects produced.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that when we really realized it was a problem, Lauren had been mentored by Catherine Bigelow, who is the first woman to win the Oscar for directing. And she sat down with her and even expressed after she won the Oscar that she was still having a difficult time, getting funding, etc. And I think that that's just such a testament that a woman wins the highest honor in the land and she still has difficulty. We are partnered with other big celebrities and they are still having massive issues getting funding for projects. And these are people who have worked on huge blockbuster films, breakout, theatrical in movie theater successes. And it's if they can't do it and they actually have a name, right, that is known, then how is anybody else going to do it? How is a woman studying at USC Film School who's really talented and has amazing stories to tell that just aren't told, how is she going to get her voice out there? And that's a big part of what Blue Fever wants to do, is bring in all of these filmmakers who we call creators, and bring them all and help them brand themselves to their audiences in a way that YouTube doesn't, right? They're not YouTubers. They stay typically behind the camera. So how do we help them build their audiences and get their work out there to people who would like really want to see it?
Yeah, okay. And where do you see Blue Fever in about 5 years? What kind of impact do you want to see Blue Fever have, like, in the industry?
Yeah, well, in 5 years, like, I would want to see Blue Fever, you know, probably at that point with like close to 1 million paying subscribers. That would be a goal. I would want us to have our full like 3 tiers fully fleshed out. And the last one that I'm really excited about is basically digitizing the movie theater experience for young women.
Ooh, okay.
So Lauren, a fun anecdote, Lauren and I wanted to watch Beyonce's Lemonade. Have you seen it?
Yes, I sat
So
down,
good.
I cleared my schedule, and I watched it all, actually on my phone. Yes.
There you go. So Lauren and I both wanted to watch Lemonade, and we were across the country from each other because we actually built the company across the country from one another. And we were like, we want to watch it, but like, you're not here. And then we asked our boyfriends, and they were like, I don't want to watch that. And we're like, you guys suck. Is that swearing? Am I allowed to say that?
No, yeah, that's
I've been
totally
told
fine.
I can't swear. So we were like, you guys suck. And so we decided that we were going to watch it together. So we FaceTimed each other and on our computers, and then pressed play at the same time and watched it together.
Oh, in
and, like,
sync.
Yeah, super janky, like 1, 2, 3, play. And we had this beautiful experience. It was so emotional and wonderful. And I mean, you saw it. It was like unreal. And we were like, what if we could create this experience where like you're live streaming it with like thousands of other women, or like you put on a VR headset and you're suddenly in a movie theater with all of these other women who love Beyonce, and Beyonce herself is sitting there, like her avatar sitting there, and then you get like a Q&A afterwards. Like, how cool would that be?
Greta, you just spoke to my soul, and I'm sure there are women that are watching tonight that are begging and dying for you to come out with this.
With your favorite artist. Like, how cool would that be?
That would be amazing.
Yeah, it's almost like a concert experience, and we're working on technology of like, you know, imagine like we're sitting next to each other and like I could like squeeze your hand in the theater, but like through VR. So there's so many things that are happening. So in 5 years, I hope we'll know where VR is going. And I would hope that that third tier would be actively running, and we would be hosting screenings, making original content, and really, you know, ultimately fulfilling our vision statement at Blue Fever, which is to change the way that women see themselves and the world sees women through media.
Okay. And what are some other passion projects that you have? You've produced films like Bite Size. That was 2014.
Yeah, and then I executive produced I just did a series recently. It's a short series, but super fun, near and dear to my heart. Lauren and I were finalists in this Lionsgate contest for like the next Twilight storytellers. Anyways, we decided to go ahead and make our own vampire stories. And so we created a series about a girl gang who deals blood out of a spray tan salon in Los Angeles, and a girl gang of vampires. And it's called Tan Sylvania. And it's super, like, it's dark comedy. So we shot about 6 episodes of that, which was great. And I wrote and directed and actually acted in a piece for those, and then EP'd. And then a film that I'm working on now that's not specifically with Blue Fever, but is amazing. It's a documentary about the global sanitation crisis called Flush Revolution. And it's about this guy who has named himself Mr. Toilet. And he really wants to, you know, not having a toilet is a huge health concern, right? Forget about inconvenience, but it's health. It's women risk their safety when they go out to relieve themselves at night. They get raped, and, you know.
And what part of the world is this?
I mean, all over the world, there are sanitation issues, even in our own country. We're focusing a lot on India for this story, but he is going around advocating for the toilet, working with the United Nations and the Prime Minister of India to really figure out how do we solve this problem. So it's a documentary where you're learning a lot about an issue you probably never thought you would hear about, or maybe you didn't want to know about. And then you're also being highly entertained by this like zany guy who deep down is just like a child at heart who...
and this is Mr. Toilet.
This is Mr. Toilet. And he has the World Toilet Organization, WTO.org, if you want to check that out. And it's just a super passionate guy. So we've been documenting that, and our crew's gone to India a couple times and filmed at the United Nations in New York and in Singapore where he lives.
Okay. And do you notice that there's a trend in some of the passion projects and some of the films that you come out with? Is it usually because Bite Size was about 4 kids around the country that were kind of going on a journey to lose some weight and get in good health and get in good shape? And we have the Mr. Toilet documentary.
Very different.
So is there kind of a running theme behind some of the projects that you produce?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I do anything, I'm all in, right? Like that's something I've learned about myself, and that's good and bad, because you have to go all in on the right things.
Yes.
But I'm all in, and I want to do something that makes a difference, and that sounds so cliche, but I want it to somehow be changing the world, even if it's like in a minuscule way. And so I think that that's a through line of anything that I do. If that makes sense. I try to curate my life with really interesting things and people that are somehow changing the world and how I can like benefit, if that makes sense. And I love to say that like content is king, but curation is queen.
Okay.
Because there are so many things in this world to watch and see and do. And so, I, as a woman, want to very carefully curate that.
That's amazing. Greta, this year's Oscars, as a producer, I just have to ask, what are some of the best films that you've seen this year? This is a fan question.
I mean, I loved Moonlight. I thought that was great. I'm trying to remember. To be honest, I'm not like a huge Oscars person because I think there's so much stuff. I can't use a bad word. There's just so much stuff that goes on in Hollywood, and it makes with Oscars so white, etc.
And this is something also the women issue. This is something that Patricia Arquette and Meryl Streep have addressed.
Yeah, I really liked Moonlight. I'm trying to remember what were the other Best Picture like
La La Land and some of the other.
I was not a fan of La La Land, also because I come from a musical theater background, and I just have a lot of critiques of that film specifically. What else was nominated? La La Land, Fences was really good. I'm trying to. What else was not? Do you remember what else was nominated?
To be quite honest, I don't. This was a fan
That's
question.
because I live in the digital media world.
Exactly,
so I
the
forget.
digital
I have
media
all the
world.
screeners, but I probably should watch them. But I saw those two. I did see La La Land, and yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what, everyone, we're not done here. The conversation continues. Please follow Greta McAnany on Twitter, and you could probably get that link to the year-long subscription, the free year subscription on Blue Fever, and follow us at CU USC on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Thanks so much for tuning in. See you next week.